The cessation, when it comes, is not the closing of a book, but the opening of a mirror, long held face down. Suddenly, it is there, the reflection, not of a hollow abyss, but of the landscape traversed, every peak and valley etched by the quality of our gaze. We spend a lifetime curating the self we wish to see, polishing a facade against this inevitable encounter. Yet the mirror is ruthlessly honest. It does not show the curated image, but the raw, unfiltered essence of what was. Is this the terror? To see the unvarnished self, stripped of its stories, its defenses, its carefully constructed identity? Or is it that the reflection is so vast, so impossibly familiar, it shatters the frame of the I we thought we were? The glass holds not an ending, but the totality of our becoming, a prelude to understanding what looks back when the name is forgotten. Consider, then, the quality of this silvered glass. Is it a passive recipient of images or an active participant in what is seen? The mirror does not simply show you. It shows you as part of a larger pattern, a resonance that extends beyond the frame of your skin. The anxieties, the fleeting joys, the deep-seated beliefs you held as uniquely yours. See how they shimmer with a light that is ancient, shared. This is the chilling, liberating truth. The reflection is not the termination of your song, but the realization that you were a note in a timeless symphony. The end, if we must use the word, is the point where your individual melody merges back into the grand composition, enriching it, changed by it, and yet, in essence, always part of it. The mirror reveals no stark finality, but a profound, intricate belonging. The gaze into this mirror is no gentle communion, it is a stripping away. What stands before it trembles, for the reflection offers no comfort to the constructed self, no affirmation of the stories meticulously woven around a name, a history. Instead, it holds up the void from which that self arose, and to which its form must return. Here, the deeply etched fear of annihilation meets the silent, indifferent truth of transformation. To call this an end is to misunderstand the nature of the form itself, a temporary pattern, a dance of borrowed atoms. The mirror proposes a different view, that what ceases is the fierce clinging to that pattern, the desperate assertion of its permanence. What if the death is not of the life force, but of the illusion of its containment within that fragile, fleeting outline? The mirror doesn't just reflect you, it reflects the very process of appearing and dissolving, asking where, in that constant flux, can a true end reside? Why wait for the final breath to encounter this reflective truth? Is not every moment a shard of that ultimate mirror, offering glimpses if only we dared to look? The lover's eyes, the stranger's judgment, the quiet, solitude where unbidden thoughts arise, these are all surfaces reflecting aspects of our being. We are constantly shown to ourselves, yet we often turn away, fearing the vulnerability of true seeing. The end, then, is not a sudden confrontation with an unknown entity, but a full, unavoidable immersion in the collected images of a lifetime of these partial seeings. If death is a mirror, then life is the slow, unconscious, or perhaps with effort, conscious act of composing the reflection. What artistry, then, does this awareness demand of our days? What courage to face the smaller mirrors, so that the final one reveals not a stranger, but a truth we have learned to embrace? Consider the dimension of time within this mirror. Does it unroll like a scroll, a linear narrative from birth to now? Or is it more akin to a hologram, where every fragment contains the whole, and the entirety is present in each facet? Perhaps the reflection is not a sequence but a symphony, where all notes, the joyful allegros, the somber adagios, the silent rests, resound simultaneously. In this crystalline surface, the child you were stands beside the elder you might become, and the now is an eternal point of convergence. What we call memory might be but a faint apprehension of this holistic reality, this constant presence of all our moments. If the mirror shows this, that no part of our journey is ever truly past or gone, but lives on vibrantly within the pattern, then the concept of an end transforms. It is less a termination and more an immersion into the totality of one's own experienced time, suddenly understood not as a fleeting passage, but as an eternal landscape of being. Beyond the chronicle of deeds and the tapestry of time, what of the emotional currents that pulsed beneath? The mirror, in its profound stillness, reflects not just the landscape of your life, but its climate, the subtle shifts in atmospheric pressure, the storms and the calms. The unwept tears now form a silent pool. The stifled laughter echoes with an unexpected clarity. It is a confrontation with the effective truth, the raw feeling tone that underwrote every choice, every encounter. Here, there is no hiding from the heart's inventory. the love given and withheld, the courage embraced and deferred, the quiet aches and sudden ecstasies. This reflection is not an intellectual audit, but a full-bodied immersion into the accumulated essence of what it felt like to be you. Could it be that this emotional honesty, in its unvarnished entirety, is the core of what the mirror reveals, demanding not judgment, but a profound, acknowledging gaze? And as this totality is unveiled, life, time, emotion, all held within the mirror's lucid depth, what is the response of that which perceives? Is there a perceiver left, distinct from the panorama? Or does the boundary between the seer and the seen dissolve into the reflection itself? This is not about reaching a conclusion or finding an answer in the glass. The mirror is not a sage offering wisdom. It is perhaps the very question of existence turned back upon itself. The end, then, might be the complete absorption into this question, the point where the search for meaning outside oneself ceases because the meaning is this intricate, reflected entirety. No judgment is passed, no reward or punishment assigned. There is only the seeing. And in that seeing, a quiet understanding may dawn that the journey was not towards a destination, but towards this moment of unshielded self-revelation, where the universe looks at itself through the prism of a life. And if one gazes deeper still into this reflective surface, past the tapestry of lived experience, what foundation is revealed? Could it be that the mirror, in its ultimate honesty, shows a luminous emptiness, a profound no-thingness that underpins all things? This is not the sterile void of nihilism, but the fertile emptiness from which all forms spring and to which they return, the unmanifest, teeming with potential. The self, the I, so fiercely protected, may see this as its final annihilation. Yet, is it not also a liberation? To see that the specific identity was a beautiful, transient wave, and that its cessation is a return to the vast, unburdened ocean. The mirror, then, does not simply reflect what was, but also what is at the core of being, a boundless, formless awareness. The end of the wave is not the end of the water. Perhaps this is the profound jest, the subtle truth Watts pointed towards, that what we fear as an end is but the shedding of a temporary costume, revealing the actor who is limitlessly free. The mirror holds this expansive, liberating truth of oceanic being, of fertile emptiness. Yet, what of the ingrained human tendency to turn away, to shrink from such immensity? The ego, that master storyteller, crafts narratives of its own indispensability, its unique importance, and recoils from a reflection that suggests its provisional nature. This too the mirror shows, the subtle clenching, the desperate search for an escape clause, the ingrained desire to perpetuate the known self, however flawed, however painful. Is this the ultimate test reflected? Not just the truth of what is, but our profound, often heartbreaking, resistance to it. The mirror observes this internal schism with the same dispassionate clarity it reflects galaxies or a falling leaf. Perhaps the journey isn't just to see the reflection, but to witness our own wrestling with it, until the arms grow tired, and the gaze softens from defiance into a quiet, unresisting presence before the inevitable. What, then, of the ripples? If the stone of self drops into the pond and dissolves, does the mirror show the concentric circles expanding outward, touching unseen shores? Perhaps it reflects not a static image of a completed life, but the dynamic, ongoing energies set in motion, the kindness that continues to echo in another's kindness, the insight shared that subtly alters another's path, even the pain inflicted that shapes another's struggle and potential overcoming. This not an end, then hints at a distributed immortality, where the essence of a life persists not in a singular, preserved identity, but in the myriad ways it has become part of the larger flow, subtly redirecting currents, nourishing new growth or leaving barren patches. The mirror may show that you cease, but what you were in action and intention continues to participate, to influence, to be woven into the becoming of the world. There is no final tally, no closed book, but an ever-unfolding consequence held in its lucid gaze. Amidst the cacophony of images, the symphony of recalled time, the spectrum of resurrected emotions, there is one constant attribute of the mirror, its profound, unwavering silence. It offers no commentary, no praise, no admonition. It simply is, and in its being, it reflects. Could this silence be the unspoken aspect of not the end? A final silencing of the mind's incessant narration, the ego's desperate pleas for significance or continuation. The mirror does not offer answers to the questions that haunted a lifetime. Rather, its silence might be the space where the questions themselves are finally laid to rest, not through resolution, but through transcendence. This is not the silence of negation, but of pure presence, a stillness so complete it holds all the movement and clamor of existence within it without being disturbed. Perhaps to truly see the reflection is to become one with this silence, to understand that what you are is not the story, but the quiet awareness in which the story played out. Does this final reflection shimmer with beauty, or does it gape with an unbearable horror? We are so accustomed to judging, to categorizing experience into the desirable and the feared. Yet the mirror itself offers no such framework. It holds the luminescence of selfless acts alongside the stark shadows of cruelty, the delicate intricacy of joy beside the jagged edges of despair, all with the same impartial gaze. Perhaps the terror is not in the content itself, but in the stripping away of our evaluative lens, our comfortable delusions, and the beauty, not a curated aesthetic, but the raw, undeniable truth of the whole in all its unkempt, contradictory glory. The mirror proposes that what is in its totality has a kind of sacred integrity that transcends our petty verdicts. Not the end might signify a movement into this vaster perspective, where the dance of creation and destruction is seen not as good or bad, but simply as the rhythm of the real. Consider the mirror not merely as a static surface, but as a dynamic threshold. After the exhaustive inventory of being, after the silence and the impartial gaze, what if the glass itself begins to ripple, to lose its solidity? The reflection, once a portrayal of life, might then become an entry into a different understanding of it. Perhaps not the end signifies the moment the observer is invited or compelled to merge with the observed, to step through the image into the reality it so faithfully depicted. This is not about traveling to a new dimension, but about the collapse of the perceived distance between self and other, self and world, self and its own multifaceted truth. The mirror, having shown everything, may finally dissolve, not into nothingness, but into the very fabric of that everything, taking the seer with it. The ultimate reflection, then, is the experience of no separation at all. When the mirror becomes a gateway and the seer merges with the seen, what then of the cherished I? The reflection reveals its true nature, not a fixed entity, but a transient vortex of consciousness, a temporary pattern in the infinite weave. Not the end whispers a profound truth here. Not the end of awareness, but the end of its supposed isolation within the fragile confines of a name and form. The mirror shows that what you fundamentally are was never solely contained within that outline. It was the universe experiencing itself from a particular viewpoint. The dissolution of that viewpoint is not obliteration, but an expansion into the boundless awareness that was always its source. The fear of losing oneself gives way to the astonishing realization that the self was a beautiful, fleeting role. And now the play opens into the immensity of being itself, unscripted and eternal. And so, the mirror is not a final destination, but a constant companion, subtly present in every breath, every encounter. Its ultimate revelation is perhaps this, that the reflection it offers at the end is the same truth available in every moment of conscious living. Death is not the end, because the process of reflection, of existence beholding itself, is ceaseless. The mirror simply clarifies the image, removes the distortions of the preoccupied ego. To live in awareness of this mirror is to engage with life with a certain lightness, a profound humor, knowing that all forms are transient, all experiences part of an immense, ungraspable play. The mirror doesn't seek to terrify, but to awaken. It shows you not an ending, but the shimmering, unending dance of being and non-being, form and emptiness, you and the cosmos, forever reflecting each other in a silent, luminous game.